Right? See, you said it. You said we're live. Hey, good evening, LinkedIn. And it's happy Friday here in the Lehigh Valley, Wrigglesville, Pennsylvania. We got Joel Vila. How you doing, Joel?
Whoop, whoop. Doing great, man.
He's ready tonight. Greg is going to be watching. Greg has said he lost his voice. So we'll see if Greg.
Yeah, see if he'll hop on the comments and come join us or something like that.
Ah, you know what? Hold on one second, sir. Yeah, I'll sit there and say if we'll see. Why is this talking to me? There we go. All right, anyway, everybody, we'll be right back after. We got a great show tonight. Hey, it's about education. I know, right? What the heck? Is everything disconnected? That's okay. Education versus experience. Be right back after this. Man, have I had problems this week. Now, it's only being on live on LinkedIn, YouTube, and Twitter right now. For some reason, it got bounced off of social media, Facebook. I don't know.
It is what it is. We will get enough viewers. We're fine. Everybody can tune in and see us. And YouTube's probably the best way anyways.
That's right. We got Rob in the house all the way in Pittsburgh,
Yep, Rob,
Pennsylvania.
glad to have you back, man. It was nice talking with you the other day.
David Wilson and Joel V are both suave, debonair, sophisticated, stellar. Look at that, distinguished gentlemen. And so, well, hey, Kenny, I figured. Now, Kenny, real men wear pink. Just saying.
I got flowers on mine. I got my Hawaiian shirt on. I'm ready to rock it.
Yeah, I know. I get dressed up, and he's over here in a Hawaiian shirt. And Rob says, Ken, we need to get you on the show. Kenny, I will make you this bet now. I will give you $5 on our budget to come on the show. We have a budget of $15 a week. So, Kenny, if we can offer you $5 or $10 to make, I got it. The Ring of Fire show. Make the Ring of Fire show great again, Kenny. How's that? Make Ring of Fire great again. I think Kenny would be great. Oh my God! But how's everything going, sir? It's been 2 weeks.
It has. It's been a while and everything. Yeah, just got a lot of stuff happening. It's good to take a break a little bit from doing a podcast and everything. Give me a little freedom to hang out with my kids and everything. So it's been really fun. Having a really good time. You know, being here at the girlfriend's apartment, you can see the bedroom in the background. You know, they got the flowers in the back to match my Hawaiian shirt. So
I just thought it was a background. I was like, I don't know. Look at that. See, real men wear plunging neckline shirts. Oh, gee, what the hell is that mean? Oh, is that what it is? All right, I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I don't know.
I get the Italian chest hair and everything coming out. What you talking about? You know,
what talking about? Jesus. All right. Well, tonight. We usually have Greg on with us, but he's lost his voice. I don't know where it went. It doesn't exist. His voice does not exist.
Nope, never.
But tonight it was one of his subjects, so it was pretty cool. And he can't comment because he's on Facebook. That's right. He can't comment.
YouTube it too. He can YouTube it.
Maybe he can on YouTube. We'll see.
Yeah, you can comment on YouTube.
But tonight's show it's a really great topic. We've never talked about it, neither on there. You know, we might have touched a little bit, but education versus experience in the workplace.
So it's a good topic too.
It is, because I mean, it does come down to, like, what I've learned is, like, listen, once you start researching everything, what people say in some job roles or, you know, professional services, you need the degree. You can't just come from experience to be a doctor. You know what I mean? Like, there's common sense where you need a degree. And I get that, but where does it end? You know, like middle management, you know, blue collar, where does it draw the line of experience? Like, I will say, like, in logistics, and what I've worked in, and you have your general managers and everything like that, I think you can promote without the experience, with the experience. That's just my opinion.
No, absolutely.
Because most of the jobs require in logistics like a bachelor's or above.
Yeah, absolutely. I've seen some of those when I was doing my job hunts, where it was either have a bachelor's degree in this or have 10 to 15 plus years of experience doing this.
Right.
And it's kind of weird, like particularly like in a manufacturing background, which I've been working in for the most of my civilian life now. It's been kind of both. Most of the people will hire me on just because of the experience.
Right.
But that pay scale gets kind of limited because you don't have that degree.
Okay, so
I can see that.
Then do I hear you saying, okay, let's put aside experience versus, your education. When does pay come into that factor? You know what I mean? Like if both of you, okay, like I just said, general manager, logistics, right? You're both, Joel, you got 15 years in logistics. You've been lead, supervisor, management. Now you want to be a general manager. You've been ops manager, but you don't have a degree. But Dave has a degree. I've been in 5 years. They give the job to me. Should the pay be more because I have a master's or a bachelor's degree?
Well, in my opinion, I think if you don't have the experience but you have the degree, then I think right there the pay should really have a certain effect to it. But if you have the experience but not the degree, then the pay is going to also take effect. But if you have the experience plus a degree, that pay scale is going to really shoot up.
How are you going to do that on the job? You can't even do that on a job description unless you're going to put a minimal and a maximum.
Right. And that's where it gets, that's where you have that problem at. We've talked, you've discussed this before in some of your other podcasts. And I think we've talked about it before, is sometimes they need to have that on there. They need to have that minimum, maximum range for what they're going to hire for. How many
based on experience.
Yeah. How much they're going to pay per hour, how much they're going to pay per experience. And there's nothing wrong with asking that during the interview process. You can also ask about that, because if you get in for the interview and you just have the experience, you don't have the education, you can totally, I feel that you can ask that question like, hey, what's going to be the pay scale for me like this? Now, what happens if I'm with you guys and I finish my degree? What's that going to entail?
That's what I mean. I don't know.
Totally ask that. Like a lot of people don't ask that during interviews. Like most of the people I'm interviewing are barely past high school, which I'm kind of disappointed at. And I've had 1 or 2 people come in like, yeah, man, I'm finishing my college degree and stuff. And they're about the same age as me. I'm like, all right, cool. And they're like, yeah, I'm going to go do this. I'm going to do that. I'm like, man, that's amazing. Go for it.
Well, I have a great story about it. In the 1990s, when I got out of the military and got into the paper industry with my parents, we were all there, our whole family. And I was a manager there, a supervisor. They came up with this new idea. They gave us training and everything, but then they came ROTC, lieutenants and everything out of the military. So they decided to go with these headhunters that found these people that got out of the military and brought them in. Mm-hmm. So we trained. You had a second lieutenant or lieutenant, maybe a captain when they got out of the military. Then it was something new. Headhunters brought them in, and they thought they could do this. They paid them extremely well, and we were irritated. Listen, we were irritated because we've been there for 10, 15 years. And somebody coming in like that was making well over. Mm-hmm. I knew because I was in the military, okay? And I knew what they had gone through, West Point, everything like that. You just, back then, that education to me was like, when you said West Point, you're like, wow. I see why. They were different coming into right out of it. They were different.
Yeah.
But, it was just something we had to learn to suck it up and just know it.
Yeah, exactly.
Rob says they might make you sign a form to say that you must give a certain amount of time. Oh, I think he's talking about like if some people, if you have a degree, I think unless they're training you, they're going to train you. I think that's what you mean, Rob. Wait a minute. They're going to train you and then you have to stay. Because years ago, companies would pay for your schooling. I don't know if a lot of them do that anymore, not like they used to, because you could go to school and they would pay for it.
Yeah, so, some companies do pay for you to go to school and everything. They'll pay like a certain percentage, and also if you decide to go to school and do the school route while you're working at the same company, there's plenty of other options you can do. There's different scholarships you can do depending on where you're working at and what field you're in. There's also like different grants you can get from the government. A lot of people don't really realize that. Like I'm using the Pell Grant right now, just being in the military, and the Pell Grant just doesn't cover military. There's other different options for that too, and that covers my tuition, and then my VA I get from my GI Bill, it's just extra income for me, which I really enjoy, and that's really fun to have.
Do you feel that by doing that, does an employee, if you're going to school, Joel's going to school right now, now you're going to get a degree, does that jump your pay? Do you feel like it should? Because it puts the employer in a spot of saying, wow, Joel just, like my wife, completed her master's. Okay, we know what a master's costs. People know, even a bachelor's what it costs. You go to, it depends on the schooling, you know, and we're going to get into that. That's one of the subjects, cost to it. But do you feel, Joel, that if it, well, it should. If you're going to school while you're going to work, I feel something should be there and some type of adjustment.
So here's my thought process on this. I'm really glad, bro. I think it depends on the person's ambition and where they want to go with that company. If they want to stay with that company, that's fine. And then like, hey, boss, you know, I'm getting my degree and everything like this. I really want to move up. And they need to have that conversation. We talked about this before. You need to have that conversation with your boss to say, hey, you know, boss, I'm doing this degree. I know you got these other positions that might be open. If I finish my degree, what's my future looking like here at this company? And if you're doing,
you got to have a plan. You got to have a plan.
Absolutely.
You're not just going to say, listen, Joel, I passed. Give me $10,000 to my salary. You got to prove it.
Now let's also talk about this real quick. If you're going to college while you're working, you're not some young 20-year-old guy.
Right.
Yeah. Right. There's like maybe 1% of our the people going to college are probably like that and fit in that category. Let's talk about the people that are our age going back to college to finish their degrees.
You're right. Right.
Yeah. You know, or they're like in their lower 30s and stuff. I just aged myself. Sorry.
Right.
And, but you're not going to be afraid to have that conversation with your boss, particularly when you get to our age and you've been around the block for a while too, and you're starting to go to college. You're going to have that conversation. I know I've had that conversation with my boss. Right. I've gone there like, hey, what's it going to look like once I finish my degree? And they have told me, they're like, if you do this, if you do A, B, and C, X, Y, and Z is going to open up for you.
Well, that's what I mean right there. Because, listen, just because I might take some hit for this one. Somebody will send me a message. Entitlement. It kind of like almost an entitlement. Listen, we all know what it's like. I watched my wife to get her master's. I would never, even what you're going through. I tell you what, when you talk about writing papers, and it's not just let's do a test and say A, B, or C, drop down. I watched her many late nights, many weeks, and just to have off one half a night, she was extremely happy. So I always say, I joke around with her saying, come on, you got your master's. Where's all this money coming? You know what I mean? Because nobody knows unless that bachelor's, listen, the associates, you can get your associates pretty damn easy anymore. 2 years, less than 2 years now. You can probably get it in 6 months. I watched on that freaking channel, Fox News all the time, that says, hey, get your master's in 11 months. Or how do you get a master's in 1 year? That cannot be.
No way.
There's no way and it cost $11,000. It says 11. I'm like, oh, bullshit. There's no way you can get your master's in 1 year. Unless I'm wrong.
That's like saying I got my doctorate at 7-Eleven.
Well, it's got to be a percentage of what you can get. You know what I mean? Like you might be able to get a partial. Yeah. But my point there is to see, that's the way I'm thinking. Where's the money? Mm-hmm. I'm sorry, but I realize now the position that she's got, she has a long way to get to that next one. She has to mentor with somebody now at another level. So now I can see that in 2 years. But those college loans, man, they're not freaking cheap.
They are not. No, absolutely. That's why I try to encourage everybody who doesn't have like the military background like you and I have. Try to encourage them like, hey, look at the different scholarships that you're doing. Look at the different opportunities that are available for you to go to college. Just one lady I work with, she's starting to go back to college, and she's like, man, this is freaking expensive. I was like, well, have you looked at any kind of scholarships or anything?
Hey, Craig, how you doing? Craig Baker. WGU, you can. It's assessment based. So career profession can go really fast. 6 weeks. Greg, so I wish I could talk to him on that. But
actually, I am a student of WGU. Actually, I'm going to WGU right now.
But is that what I'm saying about you? But that's not a whole. I'm not downgrading a master's or anything like that. What I'm saying is it a part of it, or is it something that you're still working into that?
I'm working on my bachelor's in business, MBA 6K. My bachelor's is more than that.
Yeah, that's what I was just saying. I wasn't sure because let's face it, man. You really, And one part of I wanted to bring up was like when we talked about salary ranges. Let's just say
Mm-hmm.
everybody knows what a police officer salary is. It's there. It shows you what it is. Everybody knows what teachers make. Teachers complain because they like to make more money, and I get that. I'm not down. Jesus, Lord, I opened up a can of worms. I don't mean that because they're off during the summer and they're off during the holidays and they're off during I'm not meaning like that. I know they're underpaid probably, but it depends on your tax. But my point there is, at some point you have to realize the salary of what you only can make in those professions. Like my wife's with autism and children, she knows what the max you're going to make.
Yeah. There's a ceiling. You can only go but so high with it.
Right. All right. Heard Craig says, all right, Craig says, if you get it done in 6 months, 8 months, you may have to buy another 6-month block for $6,000.
Oh, okay. I see what he's saying. So you go in there with some credits backing you up and everything in order to get it.
But Craig, how long does that take you? So Craig, are you saying that you can get, are you talking about bachelor's or master's, or it doesn't matter, I guess? Is that what it's saying? 6 months?
I think so. So yeah, like all my semesters are 6 months with WGU, and it's been great. My current plan is in about 2 years, I'm going to have my bachelor's degree, but you have the opportunity to actually speed that process up. You can knock out a class each month. It's just this writing process is just taking me forever. That's what
it is. Oh, Craig says no. And listen, I wish one day we're going to have him on here. Craig, I wish you were on tonight.
Yeah, Craig, you got to hop on that, man. I want to hear about this.
Yeah, that's something definitely, because what I mean by that about salaries is, listen, you know what you're going to make. I know everybody says what they should be paid, but a lot of the salaries in different positions don't offer that type of salary. Listen, like, you're in logistics, operations manager, your general managers, VPs with basis of salary plus commission and plus, your what do you call it? Or KPIs.
Yeah,
depending on your KPIs. If your KPIs are good, you're going to make more money. So that's going to put you up that level. But going in at that level with having a bachelor's or, master's, that's where I always felt like saying, should it be offered more? Whether you have 15 years experience in the business and this guy has 5 years, or young lady has 5 years. What do you do? Yeah, and I think that's what a lot of the stuff is. Here he is. Greg says, masters. They charge by 6-month block. If you finish in 6 months, you only pay $6,000. But if it takes you longer than 6-month block, you have to buy another 6 block. Okay, so
yeah, okay, that means you mean you're a student out.
It's almost like incentive based, right?
Yeah, no, it makes sense. I see what he's saying and everything. But yeah, we definitely got Craig. You definitely got to come on, man. I'd love to hear your opinions and everything on that kind of stuff and everything. And yeah, Alexa, are you a WGU alum? Because if so, then I'll probably join you in a couple of years. I look forward to it.
That's what I mean. So yeah. I get what you're saying now with the block. I can pretty much understand a little bit of it.
Yeah, I understand now.
Rob said, I attended IT technical institutions back in 1999 to 2001 for an associate degree. Was just under $25,000. Wow. BITT closed its doors. Associate degree was $50,000. I would be afraid to find out the cost of a bachelor's degree now. Yeah, you're right. I mean,
yeah,
everything's so different nowadays because of online. We didn't have Google. You didn't have that stuff when you were going to college back when I was there.
Yeah, absolutely.
You had books.
Yeah. So one of the other things I really want to bring this. This is a good subject to bring up too, as we're talking about, education versus experience. When you are in that hiring process, you and I, let's put on that hiring cap.
Right.
We're the guys doing the hiring. We're doing the interviews. And I've had this conversation before with different interviewees that I brought in who want to join my company. And
right.
A couple of them have brought up that, hey, how much can I really make here? And I tell them, well, that depends on the value that you bring with yourself. What skill sets do you have? And somebody that has, and you could definitely tell the difference between somebody who has a college background, who has an education background versus somebody who doesn't have it. And you can usually tell just by the vocabulary that they use.
Yeah, I agree. No, I agree to somebody say, yes, I do. I agree to that. I'll give you that. Yep.
Yeah.
You like that? I'll give you that. I like that. I'll give you that. No, but I know what you're saying there. And I can just tell by a resume.
Yeah, absolutely. Attention.
Sorry, somebody with you take a bachelor's and a master's. The resume sometimes even looks different. And again, I'm going to get some emails or messages saying that doesn't mean that. What I mean by is there are some ways, and I believe that you have to do that. You have to be the type of person. Listen, this is you, your reputation. This is you. You went to school. You deserve this. This is what you want on your resume.
Absolutely.
And my job, I feel, is I know when companies say they want a bachelor's degree, I really do. I hate when I see it. I'd like to be able to see that bachelor's or equivalent or, experience like that. I like those words.
Yes.
The reason being is because it's my job as a recruiter to sell you, Joel, to my bosses or anything. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
My job as a recruiter to say, listen, I know you're asking for a bachelor's degree, but give this person a chance, interview them.
Mm-hmm.
And after you get all done with your interviews, and I'll do it that way sometimes. Just do me a favor, entertain the idea, and see if you see what I see, because they're going to answer all the questions. They're going to answer all the questions that you're going to want because they've been there and done it. But I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with somebody that just has the bachelor's in that field. Yeah. Now, in our field, Joel, like within logistics, do they have degrees within those areas now? I'm sure.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
They put that with supply chain and all management. And
yeah,
all that.
There's it's not really necessarily a degree in supply chain. It's I forgot what the degree was in. I was pursuing it for a bit, but then I changed it to business because business just opens up more doors. And like I said, I did that transition to operations because you get better promotions and better raises, all that, in my opinion.
Right, Rob. This is a good part. Why are companies afraid to give someone experience in a field that you have why are companies afraid to give someone experience in a field that you have a degree in? Rob, I think what you mean is maybe you don't have the degree in that field. Is that, you know what I mean? Why are companies afraid to give someone experience in a field that you have a degree in? I think that's worded wrong, Rob, probably there.
I was about to say, because if you have a degree for that field, most companies will bring you in and just kind of test you out, see what you do, and help build that experience.
I think he's talking about basically when I talk about all the time how we talk about transferable skills. Because it's the same thing. If me and you have a master's or bachelor's within a certain field, can that person learn another field that he's not educated in? Can you put them in there somewhere? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Rob says, yeah. Sorry, that's okay, Rob. We're just trying to figure that out. So that's what I believe in. Like would you be able to take somebody with a bachelor's in a different field, put them in a field and train them? Is a bachelor's a bachelor's?
Yeah. Okay. So I think what it means is like somebody has like a bachelor's in like say criminal justice and they're trying to apply for like medical school or something like that.
And you get a lot of that. You get a lot of people in criminal justice. I hate to interrupt you, but I get that. I get people. And then I always say, why are they applying through some of the jobs that I've had careers as a recruiter? Why are they applying for that? And I try not to think of that why. I really do.
So, a really funny story. Right before we go into a comment, really funny story. One of my friends, she has a degree in criminal justice, and she works as a nurse in gynecology.
See?
And they hired her because she just had a degree. She didn't mention what kind of degree it was.
Well, here's what Craig said, and this is so true. Today's it's like 2009. Everybody gets laid off, goes back to school. The market gets saturated with degrees and becomes a baseline. I like that. That's what I'm talking about. It's a baseline requirement. Yep.
And you got to have that, particularly like hiring managers. I think they have to have that baseline requirement, and the job providers, the people who are actually providing jobs, who own the companies, who are making the companies work, need to set up, with their HR, like, hey, this is what we're required. This is what we want to see happen. Either they have so much experience or degree, or if they have both, they're going to get paid top dollars. It's going to be like, and I think you got to break it down by tiers: tier 1, 2, and 3. Tier 3 is cool. They got the experience. Tier 2, maybe they got the education, or maybe it's vice versa. Take your pick. It could be either or.
Yep.
And then tier 1's like, hey, they got the education and experience. Bro, bring them in. We want them. Top tier pay, and it could be either one.
And what I like about how it says becomes a baseline requirement is, are they talking about sometimes what is the benefit? How do I word this? If you have a degree in a certain field that, like I told you in the beginning of the show, that you need a degree for a career that you need it. All right. So if you have that, does it say to the person, okay, this person's disciplined? Because it says about that means somebody knows what it's like to go to school. Somebody knows what it's like to go to night school and work at the same time, because a lot of people can't afford to go to school full time, and that's it. Like, I couldn't afford to take off work now. Let's say I'm going to go to college, Joel. I'm 57 years old. I don't think so. It's not happening. Now you're young, you're out of the military yet. You're still ready to go. but you're still working. You're working full time.
Yeah, I have to work full time. I got bills I got to pay and everything like that.
Yeah. You know, can you survive the workforce without a degree? Yes. Yes. Yeah.
Actually,
I mean,
you know what? I'm going to say, the way that the way things are going now,
right.
I don't think so.
Oh, if you're talking about like this time now, how things are tightening up.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think you need to have, if you want to get the money that you want to live comfortably, you need to have that degree. You need to have some kind of educational background. And I'm not saying that go out to like some college and get a degree. If it's a trade, get the certificates. Right. So my stepdad, give you an example. My stepdad has no degree in computers or anything like that, or IT. He has a ton of certificates right now, and he's making top dollar right now working for the government in IT.
In IT, and that makes sense.
Because he went out and he got all certificates. It took him years and years to get certificates, but he got that. He was an EMT for the longest time, and he used while he was doing EMT stuff while he was off and worked on those degrees. And now working on computers and everything, he loves it. He has a good time. He makes top dollar money. He's having a blast. He's taking care of him.
He's learning as he's going too. I'm sure.
Exactly.
You know, Craig says in the market you have to impress more than the hiring manager. The hiring manager is going to have to bring the receipts and justify the hire. If it takes more effort to justify the hire, they may choose someone liked less but look better on paper in this market, how he says.
That's true. I can see that.
Yeah. I think when it comes down to even money too, because a lot of people, listen, in all my career so far, I've had a lot of people when I'll reach out certain jobs. Well, I want 150, I want 175. And I'm just like, whew. Okay. Wow. And I'll look at the rest. And don't get me wrong. I get it. Today's market, wow, has that tightened up? I mean, you like that sigh there?
Yeah.
I was like, where'd that come from? But I know in my mind when I know a job is offering, say, 120 to 130, 135, let's just assume.
Right.
And somebody comes in at 180. You're like, wow. You look at the resume. Sometimes I tell people, don't always assume that they're not going to accept that. Don't. Yeah. Because they might what they want, but say, listen, at the end of the day, when I say, hey, this is like about the max, it's your part to when you go into the interview is where you're going to have to wow them. Maybe they will. Maybe they will go higher, but you're going to have to wow them. This is, and some of them will take the interview knowing, and I know it's okay because it's no problem to sit there and say, why won't 180? Listen, you've been doing it for 30 years. I get it, but they're not paying that rate anymore. And some of the professional services that I've done, the direct hires, companies are telling me, they're saying, listen, it's 110, 130, 150. I'm getting a 20% yearly salary off of that percentage. So to guarantee them for 90 days, you're gonna give me a $150,000 job, and I get 20% of that for the company. When I was with my company there, that was when I loved it because you really, really connected the dots because you wanted to get that candidate that job because you had to make sure
on it, of course.
That was when I started talking about money like that. I was like, 20%. I was like,
oh, quite a bit. Yeah, that's a nice little commission right there.
But the part when I was going back to about being entitled, I just feel companies need to give both sides in certain fields. Listen, you're going to, again, just something simple. You're not going to be a doctor without a degree. It's not happening, man. I don't even know if there's anything experienced without it. But you do get a lot of people from India. Let's just say India, overseas, different countries. That even like Greece, all these, they come over here with a highly sophisticated degree and they can't get work here.
Wow. Yeah.
It's not recognized. It's not recognized.
I think sometimes it depends what the degree is. I've seen a few people who've gone through who have they're from another country, but they went to college here in the U.S.
Right.
And they were able, it's much easier for them to get degrees. But if they were in another country and got a degree and without sounding offensive, like, oh yeah, I went to the Bombay College of University, and you're just like, oh, sorry.
Oh, Joe, you're funny. Oh my God, that's.
Oh, dude, I'd like to have this with my sushi.
Rob, I worked during the day, school during the evening, came home to at least 3 hours of homework overnight. Did that for 2 years. It's definitely opened a ton of new opportunities. Plus, it makes you feel good. Yes, Of course.
Yeah, absolutely. You get that sense of accomplishment and everything.
Yeah,
And
you get
like
that.
I did my associates while I was in the Marine Corps, and I got all that. And that's having my associates kind of opened the door a little bit because company you're in an interview. Do you have a college degree? Well, yeah.
Yeah, all right. This next
You
question
didn't
is
ask what kind, but yeah.
I'll take it. The next one I had on here: how do college degrees affect job prospects and salaries?
That goes back to the value. I'm saying, like, what value do you bring?
Or bringing it in, how do college degrees affect job prospects and salaries? You're saying what degree you have?
Not necessarily the degree you have, but 9 times out of 10 for most companies, the degree might not even match what the job is. But having that degree, like the bachelor's, master's, if you have a master's, you need to stick with your own, thing. But if you have a bachelor's, like apply for other places and stuff like that, you have the opportunity to do that and expand yourself. However, with the bachelor's degree, if you start doing that, when you go in and start negotiating like salaries and everything, the hiring people know that you have that discipline to finish what you started. Right. They know you're in it for the long term. They know you're going to be committed and you're going to perform how, because you got a degree, you had to perform in order to get that degree. You had to go through certain levels. And I'll say it, the metaphorical hoop, you had to jump through hoops in order to get that degree. Just like how your wife had to get the master's degree, she had to do all sorts of stuff and barely had a night off. So they know what you're going through. And they're like, man, you got a master's degree? Well, man, you got a bachelor's degree? You had to do some stuff in order to get that.
So for what you've done. All right, I'm going to throw you one. Just tell me I'm a genius.
Sure. You're a genius.
All right, thank you. I was just thinking about it going forward. So what I mean by that, let's just say this now. I'm going to throw a curveball at you. So you got me, Dave. We're going to look at a sales manager, market manager, basically like that. This is a story towards me, but you got to look at it this way. Okay. Mm-hmm. Dave here, DJ, 25, 30 years, that tells you I'm responsible. My work, recruiting manager. I love sales, man. I love talking and I love friggin' sales. Okay. You got that military background. Okay. You have leadership. You have all your other kind of skills. You got somebody with 10 years experience, almost in the same field as, say, logistics are coming out. Mm-hmm. Do you consider 10 years in the military and experience in logistics as a degree?
That is a very, I think of it as a military background. Yes.
In logistics.
Yes.
10 years in logistics. But would you move him forward into the fight?
Yes. Because I would bring that person in because I knew they have the discipline and everything. And of course, you're going to find out when you do the interview and stuff like that as well. When you do that interview, you get to speak with them and stuff. And if you don't have that military background, you really don't know the kind of questions to ask. So, for example, I recently hired on an Air Force Reserve guy. And him and I would just sit there all day, like just talk smack to each other back and forth. But, bringing him on, I knew he was going to have that discipline to be there and stick with it. He'll have that loyalty. He'll know what to do, and he'll be able to call a spade a spade. Yes. And that's another thing. Is like
but you don't see that on the job description though.
No, absolutely not.
Would somebody even put that on there about being a veteran? I would.
I'm sure the resume.
I would. Yeah, your resume has to have it, but I would definitely put that in a cover letter. I would definitely drill that what you had in the military police.
Yeah, like absolutely.
That. When they come out, that is definitely degree level.
Yep, absolutely.
In the field that you're doing. Listen, I was in tanks, man. I blew things up. What the hell? What the hell did I know how to do? Heavy machinery. Everybody kept saying, "Oh, when you get out, you'll do heavy machinery." You can picture me with these big ass cranes and stuff, man. I don't think so.
No, yeah. It all depends. And like I said, if you work around tanks, you're definitely not going to be intimidated by large machines. That's for sure.
Yeah. Craig says that's right. Craig says that's right. Doesn't prove you know anything. Proves you have the grind. That's
talking about the degree and everything like that. Yes, absolutely. I completely concur.
Yeah, because it does make you disciplined. I know when somebody says they're going through the masters, even I'm like, oof. But I know what you're going through, Rob says, what better, a college degree or trade school degree? Both degrees, same type. Listen, when I love trade schools for the certain level, I love the trade schools. College at the same, it's a little bit different sometimes because I don't think you do learn the skill. You can go to college for something, for plumbing, anything like that. But trade schools are.
I'm seeing these comments. I think they're going back and forth with each other right now. I'm seeing these comments right now. I'm just like, oh,
going back and forth on the side.
Yeah.
What better, a college degree? I don't think there's any kind of better degree. You know, a trade school is, you know, you're really learning that trade. You're going right in learning about plumbing. You're going right in and learning about electrician. You're learning right in. College might be a little bit longer. I'm not sure.
Yeah, you see, well, I think when he's talking about the trade schools or
thanks, Craig, appreciate it.
I think all right, Craig. Yeah, see you, man. Thanks for the comments, man. I appreciate that. That's awesome.
Yep.
Yeah. It depends on what the job is and everything like that. If you're going to be like an electrician, like, oh yeah, I have a knack for electricity and stuff like that, or I'm a plumber, then you want to go to a trade school, and eventually you could build yourself up, see how the company runs that you're with, and depending on how well you do, then they'll start promoting you and everything like that. But if you want to go into like senior leadership or senior management or upper management, you're definitely going to need some kind of degree or anything in that. And that's the whole point of me going into my business degree. Like I have that logistics and operational background in the military, right? I can apply for anywhere else and be like a supervisor or mid-level manager. Myself, I'm ambitious. I don't want that. That's why I'm going for my degree, because I want to be upper management. I know I can do that. I can help manage that kind of stuff. So that's why I'm working on that degree. You know, as far as like vocational and stuff like that, trade schools, absolutely, you could definitely do that. Particularly move yourself up to mid-level management, and that stuff is out there.
Because the trade school is going to get you. Now the difference there is, I think I know what Rob could. You could turn that into this question too. Listen, going to a 2-year college, you know, you're going 2-year, let's say plumbing, 2 years, something like that.
Yeah.
When you get out of a trade school, you should be paid a certain rate because you've been doing that in school. You're actually learning the trade. Where it's kind of like when the military, where you do your 8 weeks of basic, 12, 14 weeks of AIT, then you're moving into your field. It's kind of the same way.
Yeah.
You know, but you're learning about plumbing your first day or two. You know, you're learning that for 2 solid years. You're working with in the classroom. You're doing projects. You know, I know in the dental field over here, you can, if you really don't have any money for get dental work, you can go down to NACYAC, I think it's called, or something like that down here, and you can get college kids that are in that, or trade school, whatever they're in. They do that stuff free.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, definitely.
I don't know if I want to go, but if I didn't have any money, I guess I do it. But my point there is what he's saying is trade school, I think, puts you right in that good salary range, like in the middle.
It puts you in the same category. I think it puts you in the exact same category, depending on what kind of trade school it is and everything. And it'll definitely get you the job.
Yeah,
that's for sure.
If they're paying 28 to 30 to 35 for a top technician, you should be able to get into the 25 range, 28 range, right in there.
If you're coming in as you just finished trade school and everything, you're trying to find that job. You're going to go in. You're going to be like, I won't say low level, but you'll be like right there, like probably at mid level. To probably get hired on, and then, you know, hopefully you know what you're doing and you start doing and performing well, and the company is a good company, and you start moving up.
I think so. Here's how does the cost of college factor into the decision?
I don't know. I can't really talk too much because my college right now is, and everybody's going to hate me, is free because I'm using my GI Bill.
Yeah, your GI Bill.
I think I earned it. So I'm using that, and I'm using every benefit that's out there for me to use.
I look at my wife's. We have to pay like $500-600 a month, up to $800 a month.
I think it's ridiculous. When I was married with my ex, she had a huge amount of college loans. She went to Wesleyan College.
How many years does it take to pay it off? Because people are always like, this cost me this much. Take that money out of that salary each year. And how many years? Just like nursing. Everybody thinks nurses make a lot of money, and they do make a good living. But let me tell you, nobody talks about the 8 to 10 years that they got to bust their ass to get yourself up through there and still pay their college loans back. And they owe a fortune. And it's going to take them into your mid-40s to where you're paid off.
It took us, her dad ended up passing away, and we got like a large amount of life insurance that came back, and we were able to use that to pay off our college loans. That's the only way we were able to pay off the college loans.
That's what I mean, because people don't realize you're done.
It, so we didn't have to make payments. She kept deferring it like every year. So
yeah, because people don't realize if you'll never get rid of that student loan. They take your taxes, they'll take your home, they'll take any kind of thing you get money. Absolutely. They go right after that, boy. It's theirs.
Absolutely.
I think that's the only thing that they can do.
Yeah.
Is and you're lucky. I don't believe they can come after you for life insurance. I think that's separate.
No,
I'm not sure. I don't think they can take that from you. But any kind of stuff from the government, oh, you're done. I've seen people have to pay back those loans. They owe 10, 15, 20, 30,000.
It's ridiculous. I'm telling you, it is a horrible thing. I'm just like, wow, I can't believe that's actually happening.
And some of the doctors I've heard, and I looked it up, and it was right. Some of them come out of there with $400,000 to $800,000 in debt.
So you want to? I was listening to a podcast the other day, and it was kind of funny. The people who are absolutely the worst with money, worst manage money are doctors. Doctors are the worst at managing their money. Because think about it, your doctors that you go see and everything, they're usually well into their 60s, the 60s, 70s, and their doctors are like, great, man, yeah, old guy with a doctor and stuff like that. But no, the reason because they can't afford to retire. They live this luxurious lifestyle and didn't pay off any of their debts. And so now they're like way, way behind on everything. And they don't know how to retire. They just do the job till they die.
Oh, my God. Well, I'll tell you what, we should have a doctor on one time talk about it. Can you imagine that?
Yeah, I'm all about it. Yeah, come on. Let's do this.
A couple more things in there. What do you think about knowledge versus experience?
Wouldn't that be the same as a degree?
What is the debate on knowledge versus experience? I think it's almost the same thing.
Yeah, that has
I was reading about that.
Then again, knowledge is experience.
That's what it is, because it can be taught. Unlike experience, therefore, here lies the greatest difference between the two. While knowledge is the sum of impressions based on sensation, experience is the act of exercising and challenging knowledge in a work in order to obtain a sensational. Wow, they lost me on that one.
So I will defer to this quote that I came up with a long time ago when I was back in high school. Don't ask me how I did it. I did it. But to be old and wise, you must first be young and stupid.
The what now?
To be old and wise, you must first be young and stupid.
Oh, of course. Of course.
And that's how you develop that knowledge and the experience. Now, I think I know what you just read was saying. So you have the knowledge like, hey, I know that this screw and this nut can actually go together.
Right.
But without the experience of knowing that you got to know a certain type of thread will go in, or you got to turn it a certain way, it's not going to connect together.
Oh, my God. You lost me on that one.
That's true. Is Marine Corps level right there. It's like crayon eating level right there. It's putting it together.
Trying to put it together. My God. There's a couple more things I want to talk to you about. Well, we got into 45 minutes almost. We're doing good. The skill development and pay increase. We kind of hit on that a little bit because it's the same. If you're developing and you're getting an experience while you have the education. Mm-hmm. So when does it equal out?
Eventually it can. I think it can, depending on how long you've been with the company and the experience that you have. And it goes back to those trade schools too, and what you have in building that up. But I think if you want to go, get promoted, get to the upper management where the real pay is and everything, you have to have that background, that educational degree, because it's not just so much as, I have a trade school being a plumber, right? I know how to be a plumber. I'm a great plumber. I know how to make sure these plumbers are doing everything, but you don't understand how the business runs. There's different stuff that happens when you run into business. How do you manage the pay of people compared to what the income is that's coming in, much less your raw material, your finished goods. Because if you have a plumbing, I'm using plumbing as an example. You have plumbing, you need to provide tape. You got vehicles going out. You need to be able to have the insurance to cover for all that stuff. It's not so much you have a plumber go out, oh yeah, sorry boss, like I broke this pipe. Hey, we got insurance, we cover it. The boss is like, oh, my premiums are going through the roof now, but I'm not gonna punish him because he's a good plumber. He just made a mistake. Right. He doesn't understand the whole stuff. And once you get that degree to move up to upper management, that's when you start understanding how the rest of the business works, and that's how you actually move yourself up. But for trade schools,
some people with business management, a degree in business management, let's face it, that, boy, I'll tell you what, that could be nice when you have experience in a field, but then having that business background.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Definitely.
I don't know why I thought about this shit like now, and it makes sense.
I like that.
I like that kind of having that business management, knowing, okay, because some people, when you get interviewed, listen, people, they cannot find jobs.
No.
Sometimes in their field. And exactly one that you said before, criminal justice. So many times that I've had people criminal adjustment. So I look at that and I don't ask them. I don't
Mhm.
sit there and say, because I'm like, all right, I got another person, 4 years or something like that, and they're coming to do this. It doesn't make sense. But then again, some people have a degree in something that doesn't make sense.
Right.
For them. For them. They're
I
not.
have a degree in marine biology. Hey, I really want to run your business, guy. Like, what?
Well, that's what I mean. And it comes down to where does that come into a factor of just, and I think that's what we talked, which Craig was saying a little bit too. Does that come to saying, I have the education, but you really don't, not for that field. So your college versus somebody having experience, and you're only having a different degree in, except business management. Wow, that's just something I was thinking about there, which is a good debate on.
That's a good thought. Yeah, absolutely. That makes
it's the grind, it's the discipline, going to school, writing those letters. I think a lot of it comes down to that too.
Absolutely. And then, like I said, once you have that degree, you start developing the vocabulary in order to, put your thoughts on the paper. And when you write those letters, you write those emails, you try to get those customers around the business and stuff, because every business needs customers. And you need to do that. But then if you got like certain degrees, like say you have a marine biology degree, you really don't think you're going to run a business that's a plumber or an electric company,
That's what I mean. So it's something, but I'll tell you, it was a good show tonight.
Absolutely.
We're definitely going to have Greg on. We're going to have Greg because, again, I got my trees. That we're
going to do part 2.
Yeah, we'll do part 2 because there is a lot more, and I know he's going to have a lot to say on it. And he's going to be like, I thought you guys were live, and I don't know what happened. I'm going to have to just do some checking into. This is the second night that the stuff disconnected, and Twitter stayed on, and Twitter didn't stay on the other night. And I'm thinking, okay, does it mean because X you didn't change something over? I don't know.
Did you turn it off and turn it back on again?
Yeah, I did, and it doesn't do anything. It just says when I scroll on it, we're having trouble streaming to Facebook. This may be an issue on Facebook's end. Okay, so maybe it is something on their end, But 2 nights in a row,
yeah,
it's got to be something with this software. But I want to thank you again for coming on.
Like test lives,
I know, right? It was great talking to you again, and on a Friday night too, boy. It was nice to meet Rob. Well, we know Rob, but Craig.
Yeah, definitely have a Craig. We got to have him on the show and everything. And
have him on to come on with 4 of us, all 4 of us all together.
Yeah, absolutely. I've been trying to convince Rob to come on your show, man. He doesn't want to do it, not yet. He doesn't. He gets a little camera shy, so I've been trying to get him to go to Toastmasters. So
we're gonna have a show on that Toastmasters. That's
absolutely. I could definitely bring on some of my members and everything. We definitely talk about that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and talking about that. So, all right, sir, I'm going to put this video on, and it's Friday night, and I'm sure you just don't stand up. I'm sure you're in your underwear, knowing you.
No. Actually, I do have pants on. They're just dirty.
I have shorts on. Shorts on with a dress shirt. I have Green Army shorts.
There you go. You got the green
shoes. And my shoes. I have. You know what it is? I have to do a podcast with my shoes on.
There you go.
I can't do them without it. I don't feel right. And every time I think about it, I'll get up and put my shoes because I'm like, no, I don't want to have anything go wrong. Is that OCD or something?
It could be. It could be one of those things, like some people that before the sports, somebody has like a lucky rabbit's foot. Or they have those little traditions they do before like a football game or a basketball game they would do. So
yeah, and I go crazy. It's like OCD. I'm looking. I'm like, there's 2 lights showing up on one of these pictures. And my frame's in the back. Now I got to go through 30-some lights to figure out which freaking one is doing it. So that's my Friday night, man. So Joel, thanks a lot as always, and we'll talk right after this.
Absolutely, David. Thank you.
Good night.